Peace and wellness to the family. So this is gonna be a continued discussion because it's a discussion that me and you was having in the car. You ain't know I was taking notes on it, like some of the stuff you was saying, you was flowing on it, but we were talking about um remember we were talking about how our experiences were having a going through a spiritual transformation around family members, and even not even knowing how spiritual we were before we came into like seeking the creator in a different way other than religious doctrine.
Yeah.
Like how we were like treated, how we were unique, and how us growing into that, it just pretty much like widened the gap from people that we needed to grow, grow past or needed room to grow, whether it's, and the way you were talking about it, I remember you said something that I wrote down. You said yeah, like literally just your existence and you coming into full spirituality on your full spiritual journey, like you could destroy their whole world. I don't know if you remember you saying that.
Disrupt.
Yeah, you said you can disrupt their whole world. Yeah, you could. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly. I was like, wow, it just stuck with me. And like I said, this is a continued discussion that I wanted to kind of share because it was getting. It for me, it was deep. It was deep for me because of just how you were speaking on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang. So it made me think about when I was coming around and I was implementing like hella discipline in my life, and I was like just determined to, and how like I felt like it was intimidating, like just me coming around.
Like for
I felt like an outcast.
Like intimidating for other people because of the life path you were following.
Yeah.
Intimidating.
And I didn't want to feel like that because I didn't want to think that about them. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I couldn't help but to feel it. It was just
like you said, but like it could be fear. It could be people fear things that they don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you was asking me how I grew up and stuff and like the relationships I had. It was always, I mean, it was clearly always something different about us.
Yeah.
But we just didn't know what that different was though, fully. We didn't know fully what it was to fully embrace it.
Right.
So like you did it at a younger age before I did. So like just imagine getting older, coming into that, and like the relationships that you built off of self that you will never be again, but people will hold on to that nostalgic self.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you the question that I had asked you earlier, which was, I've had black men tell me who grew up more of like the nerdy types in school, predominantly black schools, and they would say how they never could be popular or they never fitted in because they weren't like clowns or made jokes or roast other like guys in the groups or just their peers.
Yeah.
And I was just asking you, like, because we were talking about how those kind of guys will also inspire, or in some way as they get older they want to like live like how you lived. And we were just talking about the discrepancy between, like, I want you to just talk more about that because I asked about your experience.
Yeah, because that was it. I'm sitting here thinking about it as you talking about it because I was like, damn, I was running through so much stuff in my head because.
Well, I asked you. I'm sorry.
Because you asked, yeah.
You were popular. You were popular growing up, and people naturally just like being around you. I asked, did you, like, were you like a jokester, like made jokes and roast, and like, did you do things like that?
Well, no, I never did things like that. I never was like, well, I probably did, but I didn't. I can say that I didn't like necessarily being a bully or antagonizing people like innocent. Like, I never like roasted and making scolding and all that. I never was the one to like really talk that much like that. But it made me think about what you were saying. It was like, how we just embrace ignorance so much.
Yeah.
Like how much ignorance that outside of that I had to embrace, like that I was just embracing just to, they as they say, fit in. And it's even too, it's for me is deeper because embracing, like with embracing that ignorance, it's like you lose who you truly are, but while still searching for who you are in general in life. So I can see how, like me putting a halt on the ignorance that I was embracing as I got older could like really, even down to like just behaviors, music that I listen to, places I will hang out at, environments that I expose myself to, things that I'm interested in doing now as opposed to like back then, like, you know what I'm saying? And how relationships diminish based off of experience, a spiritual experience of like the raising of one's consciousness, or one having a whole identity shift, really, as opposed to depending on when that person, what phase in your life that person met you in.
Right.
Because I live several different. I lived a lot of lives in this one. I lived like 4 or 5 people's lives in like this lifetime that I'm living right now. Like I've been through a lot. So it's like when you ask me questions like that, I really got to think back and reflect back and say, oh no, I probably did do that in some way, but I can honestly say in my heart that I did not like it, and I did not like that about myself. You see what I'm saying?
And what I'm referring to is like high school and adolescent years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about like the ones people who try to hold on to adolescents while they're in their 20s.
Right.
We're talking about adolescent, juvenile, high school.
We was at a young age. We had to have such like older male mentalities. Like we thought we were grown men. So like those little games and tic tac scoring games like that, some of us just didn't even do that stuff.
Yeah.
Cause we in our mind we really thought we were grown men, but we were in like that's just how fast we were living and like the lifestyle we was living.
And you know how you were also talking about you naturally being a leader. Like, can you talk a little bit more about that? Because you remember that's the way that you initially like responded. And I was like, I thought that was a good point.
Right. Then I didn't know I was natural leader, but it was the point of like coming up was like not, standing. The way I grew up was being a leader, having leader attributes. In my teenage years, growing up in Durham, because growing up in Durham was very difficult. Was not joining a gang. You know what I'm saying? Like not joining a gang, not conforming to any gang activity or criminal activity outside of inside of a gang. Like you can do that on your own if you're a Bull City criminal, or if you're in that street life. You don't conform. You don't have to conform to somebody else's gang to do that. And like I feel like it was the negative and the false senses of self leadership that I showed then.
Right.
It was a false sense of leadership that I showed then that put me in a leadership position for me to learn what a true leader really is.
Right.
If that makes sense. That's kind of a paradox in itself, but that's really my story. It's like being a false sense of self, being put in a leadership position to where people see like, oh, he hold his own. He don't have to do this, do that. He can still go on his block and do, and participate in illegitimate activities with his friends. They do it all this, but he don't have to join no gang, and he has a voice and he stands on what he believes in, and he look you in your eyes when he shake your hand. But you're all doing this to hold up an image of pride in the street, where that gets you nowhere. So it's like you're building this character that's not even really you. You know what I'm saying? But the character that you're building has a false sense of leadership attributes and qualities.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's really not. It's really fake. It's really not that person, because you're really not that person. Yeah. So when you step outside me stepping outside of that character, I had to find out who I really was to the core of me. It's a whole nother walk-in transformation. It's a whole nother way of existing. So that character that I created is dying off, but there's still people who went through missions and it had episodes and different experience with that character.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
now, from the outside looking at it in, it's like, dang, yeah, I always had those leadership qualities. I always had those spurts of nobility and actually having some type of honor and principles. Even in being the street, you had it. But at the same time, it's like now it wasn't at all. Like looking, it was you know, you being your loyalty can become stupidity. Like you're being loyal to the wrong that's not to something that's not going to help you become
Right.
anything that's productive to your true purpose.
I
You know what I'm saying?
I want to ask too, because it just made me think about how just observing male behavior, it seemed like it's natural for men to have like a sense of brotherhood and a sense of like looking to other men in their community for validation into manhood, but it seemed like this was some type of negative code that was self-destructive and community destructive. But what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it was very self-sabotaging. The whatever code, like that code, like that. What we looked at as masculinity more related to violence, like you know, that negative sense of masculinity always is going to be associated with violence. How much violence can you meet with violence? How violent can you be? How brutal can you be to somebody that looks like you? Another masculine black man, a false masculinity, I should say, because it's all catered to like the killing and genocide of us. And we should be, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that. I mean, it's really it's hard to talk about, you know, because it's like you talk a lot about self-hatred, but the self-hatred that you see displayed in like guys that's been in their life know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like that the self-hatred that you see displayed is kind of it can be traumatizing to even speak about and think about and reflect on, because it's even in having a spiritual experience of a personality like shift and paradigm shift, even with having that, you still have tendencies from that trauma, from that false leader, from that, you know what I'm saying, like as an adolescent, like all those, you still have certain tendencies that you have to constantly reflect on and heal from moving forward with your new self. So that's why you gotta be careful. When I was speaking on in that video about having a history of violence or volatile behavior, like you have to really, because let's be 100. Like really, when I remember I was expressing to you about when I was like, yeah, like my old self would have been outside waiting for him, and
like in terms of how you would deal with situations were always resulting to violence.
You see what I'm saying?
But also I want to say too, and really that's just Black American men picking up on white American culture. Like you're taking another man identity and culture that is not who you are. But I do want to just say that, so I grew up in Detroit and I did see this play out in my life. My brother was a part of a gang.
Yeah.
Me and my brother grew up very close. My brother, he was a Blood at one point, and then he was a Crip at another point. He got 7 Mile. He got the stuff, the tattoos. So he lived that life. But my brother was in such deep pain, and he would just vent to me, like pour his heart out. And a lot of the things that I realized that my brother, it stemmed from his relationship with his father. So seeking, even just centering your entire life on just men as a man, you're trying to fill that void of a fatherless home.
Yeah, that I can honestly say that was definitely why a lot of my anger manifested was out of anger from my father, for sure. That's definitely, yeah. It's difficult. It's difficult looking back at it now. sometimes, because it's like, dang, like all the anger that I harbored for so long and all the mistakes that I made behind that anger.
Yeah.
So I feel yeah, brother, because it's like you feel like an undesirable, like it's like it makes you kind of feel away as a young boy, like dang, like I not even a phone, not even no accountability, no phone call, no happy birthday, no
Yeah.
for for year over 20 some years,
Yeah. So would you say the lashing out of wanting to result in violence in any altercation is really just stemming from a place of just so much pent up anger from
Yeah.
this big thing, right? It's inhumane for any child to be born in a circumstance like that.
Yeah.
A fatherless home.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was yeah, I mean, cuz it's when you go through certain things in life, where like you could be hurt or like in jail or the penitentiary or like something down, like it could be life shifting,
Yeah.
monumental for you to hear from your father. If you haven't heard, like if you like, that could change your whole perspective on how you even look at your own life. And to not hear, like, and to be in your and to go through some low moments in life without hearing from it. And that's where like a lot of your conscious decision making came from, that anger and that rage and that unworthiness feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
the unworthiness.
and you know what I'm saying? And then to not hear from that person at your lowest moments while you're going through that anger that you have for that person or for your father is yeah, it's black man, we don't like to talk about it. We don't like to talk about it as much as we should, because I think a lot of us get numb to it. A lot of us get so numb to it that we don't even realize where the anger is coming from. Yeah. We don't even realize, like, it gets to a point where we just don't even want to know. It's just there, and we just feed off of it, and it becomes a part of molding us into unfortunately, a lot of young men you see now with the influences, what they got going on with drill music and just lashing out, and it's like a GTA game. It's it's desensitized. Nobody really cares about what's the value of life. Now in a sense, so it's kind of like, I don't know. It's unfortunate, and it's a trauma that I feel like if you try to heal from, at least like what I'm doing is, I'm on a healing journey, and I've healed and I'm healing, but I'm realizing though there's always a new level of love and a new level of healing, and like just going through it. Right. Sometimes it does help me to like just forgive and talk about it. Like on my YouTube, I talk about with my father. It took me a while to come out and talk about that, but I feel like it could have helped somebody else, resonate with somebody else that's going through it, because I was out there with a lot of guys a lot of my friends, I don't know a lot of my bros' fathers. I never met them. I never know. Like, growing together, we never seen fathers like that. You know what I'm saying? So it just was tough, that just having that in your subconscious mind, having to recharge your subconscious mind and reprogram it to be a better father, to get some of those tendencies out of, like, some stuff is not okay. I know you didn't grow up with a father, but this is not okay. Being able to take accountability for that in your fatherhood, because you don't really know what it looks like. So you got to pay attention and say, when somebody, like, you have to, as a father, I would give the advice to not be so, we do get disrespected and we do get mistreated as fathers, a lot of the times in the situation that we put ourselves in. But I would advise, like, sometimes to actually listen to the criticism sometimes, if it's coming from a sincere place. Like, if you can decipher between, out of the trash talk and, like, some things that you might need to be accountable for, like, I would suggest that you do that, because especially if you didn't have a father. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because you can always get better. Yeah. You can always, So yeah, I mean.
When you use the word unworthy, well, like, why did you use that word in a sense of growing up without a father makes you feel unworthy?
Well, I mean, I think as a kid, growing out with a father, it's something about, like you said, like not understanding how to find your own validation within, like not knowing how to validate yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like what you not knowing as a child how to validate yourself, and where's your self confidence coming from?
Mm.
So, and you listening to a lot of influential music, and you're around other influences, and your environment could be playing a role in, like,
Mm-hmm.
what is life even about? Even the meaning of life? Like, what
Mm.
am I doing? What am I doing here? My mom go to work, come home. I don't know who my father is.
Mm.
No family business, no community.
Mm.
It's like it's not just not having a father. It's not having a father. It's like not having no direction. Like you don't have no direction in life. Like the mother's the nurturer, so like if you're missing a father, I mean that, oh well, you got to find your own direction. Like you're not having a constant masculine energy speak into you.
Mm.
And know what? That's very unhealthy for a young black male growing up in America.
Mm.
That is that's
Mm.
you know what I'm saying. That's very disappointing because it's like,
Yeah.
but we all can just only do what we can. Try to do as much as we can for our families, and like what you talk about with us coming together more as a family, like in group economics. Us as a people, we always like to complain about racism and stuff like that, but I feel like, what are we doing about it? Like, why are you mad at a people that have been racist against you for centuries, beyond centuries, like whenever since they existed? Why are you mad at them for that? Like, just let them be who they are, and listen to the people that are bringing solutions. As simple as that. Or create your own solutions and opportunities.
Look, baby, what do you think this is about? I heard this brother Isaac Hayes, who is the owner and founder of the fan base black owned social media app.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this video of him talking on a Comedic Institute Instagram where he was saying black people love indulging in disrespect towards themselves.
Mm.
So like if Gucci is being disrespectful to black people, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go give me some more Gucci and show you like yeah, like we're worthy for Gucci to validate us, or you know what I'm saying, like that kind, like where do you think that even comes from, that need, like you go harder for something that wants to exclude you?
On a deeper level, on a deeper psyche level, I feel like we care too much about how another culture views us.
Yeah.
It's like a modern day minstrel show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who can be the most ignorant to who make master laugh and please master enough on it? Like that's how because at some point you have to know that you're making a mockery out of your own people, which means you're making a mockery out of your own culture.
Right.
For other people to see.
Yeah.
And it's just like you saying, like it's a lot of different levels and chambers that come off of self-hatred.
Yeah.
Like when you say every time you say, you just, and it's in the simplicity, when we might be having a conversation, you'll be like self-hatred, and I'll be like, damn. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's it and but it's so many levels to it. And
Self-hatred could even look as something that's disguised as self-love.
right.
If you're talking about, like, because I do a lot of my work with women, and if you see these videos or a picture of a woman that says self-care and you just see her and a dog,
Mm-hmm.
that could be interpreted as self-hatred too, because why are you alone? There's no community. That's selfish. Selfish can also look like self-hatred too.
Yeah.
Yeah, refusing to work with people who look like you in a functional way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's when you say that, it made me think about when you said so selfish and selflessness and selfish. I was watching this video of Michael Jordan, and he was talking about how when you want something in life, you have to be a little selfish. And he was talking about how dedicated you got to be in the sacrifices you have to make to get to your goal and to do the things that you have envisioned for yourself. And he was like, you got to be selfish, but are people with a true purpose, this is why purpose is so important, because people that have a true purpose that's given to them from God and they fully embrace it, it's like your selfishness is an impact to inspire those selflessly.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So us being selfish doesn't look like genocidal ignorance or embracing ignorance or wanting to stunt on your own people or embracing the way another culture views you to shit on your own folk.
Right.
Selfish. Our selfish looks like dedicating ourselves to our goals, living inside of our future, making a covenant with God for our purpose, being thankful for it, doing what we need to on the path to get there, to become the person we have to become to get that, to fulfill God's purpose for our life. So yes, we have to be selfish to be selfless to the world, because we're literally a walking solution.
Yeah.
And our existence is a solutionist existence. So it's like, I feel selfish is when you're talking about when you're talking about different people, you're talking about two different selfish,
right?
Two different scales of being selfish, because one person's selfish can impact the whole globe,
right?
You know, and then another person's selfish could bring it to a demise,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And it made me. Damn, that's crazy you said that. I was just looking at that with Michael when he said that, and I went to the comments. I wanted to see what people were saying about it, and it was just people had interesting perspectives on. So because a lot of people equate success with materialistic gains, you know, and stuff like that. So it was just interesting to see. But how do you feel? How do you feel like when you was coming into, I wanted to ask you this, when you was coming into your spiritual confidence, I should say, like the Asha segment, like when you became her, right? How did it make you feel, or I ain't gonna say feel, but was it hard for you to kind of like see women differently with the knowledge that you have on like how they think about men, how they think about their own men? Let's on a whole breakdown of how you know the whole psyche behind their ideology and how they operate. Was it harder for you to like see women as friends, like most women as friends, because they would naturally be opposed to you because of how much you uplift black men?
Well, I realized that I was just born with it. It just, until that was just me putting on my own cape at that point. Like I'm ready to, or not even a cape. Look, I'm ready to just sit on the throne at this point, because I had been through so many situations where where they didn't like me. I was out it was energetic though. It made sense, and a lot of it had to do with just the relationships that I naturally had with black men and the relationship that I have with my father. So there was never space for it. So if I try to come in, I'm gonna naturally talk about the things that are interesting to me, and like, and I'm very community and family oriented, and those are not the things that they're interested in, or and if anything, they actually really despise and hate that. Like, so I had a lot of, over my experience, um women just being very nasty and ugly to me, and jealousy, and so it just, sometimes you can have unpleasant experiences that put you in that path, because it's just like, this is the only thing that works for me. Because I don't fit here, and they have shown me I'm not wanted here. I don't fit here. I'm not celebrated here, and that's how I always felt in those spaces with those women. It was never, I was never welcome. So basically holding that space on my own, because it just goes back to God placing it on my heart and what I was actually born to do, and I actually walk that. So that's who I am. You're not going to change that about me.
Right.
So
you talk a lot about the unbreakable core.
Right. Yeah.
Break that down a little bit for us, the unbreakable core.
The unbreakable core is just knowing what true community is. So it just felt in alignment for me to have come across polygamy, right? And how I even got to that, and learning the concept of sharing husbands to uplift a man. Also the concept of relationships forming to actually build a community of opposite sex. That's polyamory. So coming into the consciousness of that. But I started though with that just foundation of okay, so like uplifting the men in your community too is obviously, that's your line of defense. That is your providers, protectors, hunters. Very important, right? So it just was natural. It was natural for me to follow this path. I was naturally receptive to male authority and correction from Black men because of my father. So I naturally stepped into this, and like, I could just briefly talk about a short story. I have so many, but I had a situation when I was in college. I was a part of a president of this block club, and it was predominantly Black people in the group, and they like community service. They like community service, and we had a Black man, Officer Mayfield. He was a police officer, and he wanted a relationship with like the public safety with the community building. And so I was telling him, like, this was during the time of like the mass shootings of Black men being shown on national television, right? And at this time, I have no idea like who I am. I'm still wearing weave.
Right.
But I was just the president at this time, so I was just like, can we get a panel, like, and then like have a conversation where we can talk about, from Black men who are actually police officers. Like, because I actually had conversations with him, and he joined the force so that he can help these community problems. And so, there's like, that gray area that always that can exist. I just was like, I just wanted more information. So I was like, how about we have this panel, and so during the creation of the panel, I wanted Black Student Union to be a part of it. And then they had like the woman, she was a Black woman who was there as a representative. She came late to the meeting, and the whole time, all she kept repeating, like, she was looking at the panel, she's like, there's no women on the panel. Like, that was her entire focus. She did not like me from the start. She was so rude. She was nasty. It was just all, but again, it's the energy, right? It's like, it was almost like she went into like some like robot automation. She's like, no women on the panel. No women on the panel. She just kept repeating that. I'm like, and I'm just like, it's like a glitch in the matrix for me, because I'm like everything is just closing in. And I'm seeing this person turn into like a robot.
And Mr. Smith right on the spot.
Yes. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, and then I was just like, okay, so they said the theater woman, right? Okay, we got the Dr. Theater woman. So I didn't, okay, so we got her there. Again, these are Black men who are being shown the right, we know public enemy number one is
Yeah.
black men.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? That's the art of war. The
Mm.
art of war is you want to get rid of your men because that is your line of defense.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of your protector. So my thought process was just like, okay, like I'm trying to, so that's how I was naturally like thinking.
Yeah.
And so she just, like I said, so in that situation, I've had so many of those happen where I'm like, wow, like I'm truly in a matrix.
Yeah.
Because it always happened. Like just my entire existence decodes the feminists. It's like it doesn't compute. They break down. They're like they malfunction.
Yeah.
And it happens in real time. And you be like, and I've had this, black men witness this in front of with me, and even the sisters who are like on this journey with me. And like, we're like, wow, like this is what they malfunction, they break down, they can't compute. Like it's like you said, it's like the Agent Smith that comes through them.
They turn into Smith, right? Yeah.
So it's just crazy. Like, no, you're not about womanhood anything. For you to be that nasty to another black woman who I'm just like, they're older than me.
I'm sorry you had experienced that.
So I'm just saying, like, these were all like situations that happened to bring me to
I love that.
My whole path.
I love that.
Like my path that I was meant to have, because it would happen, and it just showed me how like this isn't real. Like something is off about this world. Like this is not real. Like I'm like, how did this
seriously off?
Yeah, so it brought me closer to the black man experience in America, the plight that you all have to go through. It just brought me closer, and it just brought me closer to my purpose and being more confident and strong in what I do.
Yeah, and I want to. That was beautiful, and I want to say for the men, I am dedicated to learning and getting in touch with the black woman in me, so we can be, more emotionally present for y'all, so we can be more emotionally available and understanding, and far from like misogynist, and far from like treating your woman like property. As much as I can, I try to stay away from that Eurocentric centered education of how to go about dealing with your women.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It is a constant fight of conditioning. I can admit, to be honest, if I have to be totally honest with self, and the black men should. We should.
Yeah.
We should. So the deprogramming, reprogramming, and recharging of our subconscious mind on how we view y'all, look at y'all, I want to say that your story is beautiful. It makes me feel good that I made a decision to do that, because I obviously got rewarded.
Yeah.
And it can happen, fellas. Like, if you really truly in your heart put out pure intentions to go about manifesting, and you really truly want a good woman, not just a good woman, but a woman of purpose that's gonna keep you on yours and support you on yours, you gotta want it truly with true intentions and pure intentions in your heart, and open your heart, and it will happen for you. It will, man. It will come. You just gotta be ready for it. Yeah, and that's the key too.
Yeah.
Because we have the power to bring in and materialize anything in our life. And that power can be abused or misused, because you could be a version of you that's not ready for the power that you're using.
Yeah.
So that's what people, when they talk about manifestation, and they say, I want this and they want that, but they're not that. You're not $1 million. So how you expect to have, and then on top of that, or you want a loving relationship, but you haven't developed a loving relationship within yourself. But even with that, let's say you conjure up the frequency to manifest a nice woman in your life, and because that's basically what you're doing. You're bringing it into materialization. You're just closing the time gap in the time that you get in what you thinking that you truly want, right?
Yeah.
Then you get it, and you fumble.
Yeah.
You crash out. You self-sabotage. You don't take accountability. You stop growing.
Mm-hmm.
You get content. You get arrogant. You get in your ego because
Mm-hmm.
now you reached the spiritual level. You know, you went to college. You got a nice car. You got a nice house. You reached the spiritual level of, oh yeah, I'm deserving of multiple women. I can afford multiple women. I can sustain that. You know? And
Yeah.
sometimes you could be worried about everything but your own soul. Because it's certain qualifications that you have to have that you can only get from God.
Right. Yeah. That's real. That's real.
It's so real, man. But dang, we've been flowing in this joint because I don't know how long this was a good one though. This was a good one. I'm really glad we continued that discussion publicly so they can see it, because it was interesting for me. You was just flowing, so I was just listening to you like, damn, this is deep. When I was like, damn, I want to revisit this.
We could have so many conversations about this because it's just, I mean, it's the vein of my existence. To be very alien to my environment, my bloodline, family, and anywhere I go.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love how you're so proud of that when you say it, because it's an unwavering self concept and confidence that you can feel in from, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes as creatives and like people that are on a path of purpose like us, we need to hear that and we need to feel that.
Well, I want to say that it actually, thank you.
Yeah.
It actually isn't any self concept. It is just seeing the God in me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just seeing the Creator in me.
Mm.
That's all you have to do. There's no self in that. It's the we.
Mm-hmm.
I see the we in me.
Right.
That's all.
I love it. All right. Maybe we'll come back. Maybe we'll talk about this again. I don't know. I mean, with something different. What you think?